Hey guys, it's Matt. If you're new here, this is Keys to Success. We're hoping you're the best year yet. In today's video, I want to talk to you about why I haven't been posting in a little while. So recently, I contracted COVID on August 3rd. Today is August 28th. I'm just getting back into the swing of things, but I was sick for 3 weeks. This video, I want to talk to you about what's it like having COVID, the day-to-day experiences and symptoms, and just overall, what is COVID about? So let's get into it. So how I contracted COVID, that was the first question I received. Towards the end of July, I noticed that my wife was coughing. Yes, she's the one that caught COVID first, and then it went to the rest of my family. So we're in the peak of summer. Nights are 70 degrees, 80 degrees, something like that. We keep the air on. So I woke up this morning, the air was turned off. Then I noticed my wife having a hoodie on, sweatpants, and thick crew socks. So I'm like, something's not right here. And she's telling me that, yeah, I'm just cold. And I'm like, it's hot in the house. I'm sweating, my sons are sweating. So we're like, something's not right here. I was like, look, we need to go get you a test because you have been coughing in the past few days and now you're having chills. I checked her temperature through the process and she was 102. When we took her to the walk-in clinic, they did a rapid nasal swab. In 15 minutes, we got our results, which was positive. At that point, I was like, I need to take a test too as well. So I took mine and it was negative. Fast forward 2 to 3 days, this is when I started showing symptoms. I started having a cough, nothing too serious, and I had some congestion going on. And I did have a fever. I had it was a mild fever. It was like 100.7, something like that. So I wasn't feeling too bad this time. So I test positive. The next day, our son was really hot to the touch. We checked his temperature and he was 102.7. When we tested positive, the doctors told us that children under the age of 4 to 6, something like that, they're low risk for COVID. And if they do catch it, it's mild. I'm not saying everybody, I'm just telling you what they told us. The next day, so this is when my symptoms started to progress. So the first day, I had a mild temperature, I had chills, my body was slightly achy, and I had congestion. I couldn't breathe deeply, but I took a deep one, I would start coughing. Then my symptoms progressed where I had fevers off and on. I had a fever of 102, then it would go down to 100. Fever of 102, go down to 100, and then this continued for 8 days. So I was constantly sweating, but freezing cold, having a temperature, coughing. And this really affected me. It really made me tired. And I think that's what COVID does as well. It exhausts you because of the constant fever, constant sweating, constant losing fluids out your body. I did not lose my taste or smell, but foods tasted really salty to me. So it just ruined the whole meal and I couldn't eat it. So I really wasn't eating during this time. Also, I really wasn't consuming a lot of fluids just because I had no energy. That's another thing COVID does for you. It depletes your energy. You don't want to do anything. I was just laying down in the bed. There were times where I was asleep, other times where I'm just looking up at the ceiling and I'm like, I don't want to mess around my computer. I don't want to mess with my camera. I don't want to play a game. I couldn't watch TV, so I'm just laying here. And then it got to the point where I'm like, man, I haven't had food for 5 days. I haven't had anything to drink for 4 to 5 days. Something's not right here. So I had a moment of clarity and I called somebody. I believe I called my wife and I was like, look, I haven't ate for 5 days. I haven't had anything to drink. Something's not right. I can't stand up. If I stand up for too long, I would feel like I was about to pass out. So I went to the hospital and they told me that I was dehydrated. I remember I would touch my face and it felt really dry to the touch. Another question I got, when you get COVID, there's no cure for COVID. They do have the vaccine, but that's not 100%. But when you catch it, there's no cure. So they only treat the symptoms. So one of the things that I got an inhaler. So this is a butyrol inhaler. They gave me this. I really didn't have respiratory issues, so this thing really didn't help me per se, but it probably would have helped someone else. But I did have shortness of breath, but it really didn't work for that. but it just didn't really work for me. Another thing they give you is something for the cough, your sore throat, and your congestion. So I think it's called Bromfen. So they gave me this. And you take it every 6 hours. You take 5 to 10 milliliters. You take it every 6 hours. It says on here, as needed for cough. And then they gave me prednisone. I'll put like a little thing on the screen to tell you what this does. It's very exhausting to the body having COVID. It attacks you, everything. Like it depletes your energy, depletes your appetite. It just really affects the body. You're just sore all over. You really can't do anything. There's times where I would stand up and like I would start seeing stars, and then I would sit back down. So yeah. So at nighttime, I stopped taking the Bromfen for the cough, and I started taking, I'm not gonna show it just because, but I would start taking NyQuil. So I would take NyQuil, and that really helped because one thing that NyQuil does is it coats the back of your throat. So it coated the back of my throat, it soothed that, so I was able to sleep. I would take Tylenol. I was taking 500 milligrams. I would only take one at a time based off the direction. I think it was every 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever it was. And I would take that, and that really helped with like the pain and just stuff I felt in my body. So some of the after effects that I'm dealing with, I'm still dealing with I'm still dealing with dehydration. So I know my lips are a little bit dry to the touch. I've been drinking a lot of water, but just how much it took out of you. Like after I knew I had dehydration, I started trying to consume as much water as I could, like reasonable. But with the constant sweating, you get something else. You get number 2, but it's the more loose stuff. You get that. And with COVID, it ain't just like a little bit. It's like if you took a suppository, it's gonna clean you out. So you got that going on, and that really takes a lot of fluids out your body. Just you breathing, so you can't consume enough water or fluids to maintain. So that's something I'm still dealing with. So I'll put something on the screen just so you guys can see like the symptoms of dehydration and the effects. It's like another thing you got to deal with. Also with COVID, just because of loss of appetite and the constant fluids leaving my body, I lost 20 pounds. I put my belt on, I'm down 2 notches from what I was. Yeah, cool, I lost weight, but the weight you lose is not in places you want to lose it at. Yeah, you lose a little bit, you lose a lot in your stomach just because it takes it, but it takes from anywhere. So a lot of your muscle mass, you just look very sickly just by the way they take the weight from you. So I wasn't taking COVID seriously for myself. I don't know if I'm putting that the right way, but I felt like I was going through the motions. I felt like I was doing my precautions just because I was told to. Like I would wear my mask. I put hand sanitizer on. I sanitize, clean sanitized surfaces and door handles and things like that, and stay 6 feet away from people. But I did that because I was being told to, not because I understood why. So, and before I was like, I caught COVID before. I probably got it. I probably was asymptomatic. No, I never caught it before because of what I experienced the past 3 weeks. And still the after effects and what I'm dealing with right now, I know I haven't caught COVID before. At least I haven't caught this strain. Very, very debilitating. And the one thing that I've asked everybody is, why are people's symptoms different? Everybody's different. You could be asymptomatic. You could be sick for 2 days. You could be sick for 3 weeks, even 4 weeks, like I was. Or you can be sick and end up in the hospital on a ventilator. It's just whatever you get. 2 of the scariest parts is, one, my son, he had to go to the hospital the day that we found out he tested positive, but the day he had a fever. One thing common in kids is under the age of 4 or something like that, they have this thing called, I'll put the word up here, I don't want to say it wrong, but they have these type of seizures. And he had one of those just because of his temperature was high, and if it spikes higher or lower, they go into this seizure. It's not like a shaking seizure, it's like he was just staring at the ceiling and his tongue went back and he wasn't responding to anything we were saying. That went on for about 2-3 minutes. And then after that, he was obviously lethargic, kind of still a little out of it. But then he was fine after that. He was playing around, doing his thing after we left the hospital. That was one of the scary parts. The other scary part is I didn't know how bad I was when I went to the hospital. Not COVID wise, but like dehydration wise. Now what? Now what I'm gonna do is try to get myself back. So I'm gonna meet my physician, have them track my progress, blood work, whatever they gotta do, just so I can see where I'm at. I just had COVID, and I was gonna see how did COVID affect my body? How did it affect my blood, my levels? So me getting this blood work done is great information for me. Things that I've been working on this week is trying to get back to work. So now I'm completing the FMLA paperwork so I can start the process of going back to work. This entails getting all your medical documentation in order, getting the letter from the state clearing you back to work. So yeah, just completing the paperwork, and after that, get my life back in order. I want to start working out again. I want to start feeling myself again. And it's going to be a long process. But you guys take care, stay safe out there, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.
One, two, three.